Hello and welcome back, guys, to this second partial in mathematics. I'm gonna be with you in this time, and it's gonna be a little bit different. I hope you had a good time with your family, sharing time to cooking, sharing time to being talking and doing things we normally don't have the time to do, but it's a good time to share. And I want to share with you many of the knowledge that I have related with mathematics, of course. And for that, we're going to use many internet tools because this is what we have right now. And I'm going to be with you this time, this second partial, and I want to tell you and share with you how it's going to be evaluated and the distribution of some of the contents. So, guys, nice to see you again. I hope we have a good time in math, and I hope you're still having the same pretty good attitude in this situation. So God bless you and your families too. Let's start. Okay, here we go with the description of the class. Mathematics, this second partial. How's gonna be the class? Okay, I'm gonna start talking about the evaluation. Some important points you have to consider because of the result I saw in this first partial. Okay, talking about the second partial, there will be 10 weeks of classes from April 20 to June 24th. Every week, you will be evaluated with a homework, online quiz, or an investigation. Of course, in my class, I will concentrate in these three types of assessment, and I'm gonna tell you in what consists each one. In mathematics, every assessment will be evaluated with 10 points. You will present the assessment during the week that is assigned, taking Saturday like the last day to send your assessment. So you're gonna have the whole week to present your assessment. And please try to be punctual. Assessments that are late will cost the half of what it is. So if its assessment is 10 points, you're gonna have an evaluation less than 5 if it's the case. But I'm saying this right now because I don't want to have students that fail in assessments, and you will see the assessments will be very short. An assessment that have 5 or at most 10 questions or exercises like the one you did this last partial. I will try to send you Word documents and in where you just have to like write the letter of the answer, but follow the instructions, please. It's something important for me. Every assessment must be sent in a Word document or PDF, excepting the online quizzes. The online quizzes, some of you have the experience. I think it's a good idea. Use this tool and you will do like 2 or 3 online quizzes. You will see this in a few minutes. If you need to send a mail, write in the email subject your name and grade. Of course, the section 2. It's very important for me because some of you send emails and these goes sometimes to the spam of the email and I can't open it. Or sometimes you send works or homework from emails that are not yours and you don't write the name. This is something important too, that there is a mandatory information you have to write in this kind of works or homework or assessment. It's your name. It's very important. You have to write your name every time. Okay, here is the distribution of the activities I'm expecting to do with you during this second partial. If you see, there are the 10 weeks, and practically I'm gonna work with 3 types of assessments: investigations, homework, and online quiz. So, how's gonna be the investigation? Something you can Google immediately, or something that maybe you will use an online application or an online website in order to solve the exercise or the questions related with that investigation. Homework, how the homework is gonna work. The homework's gonna work like the study guide you did, or like the activity one you did in like the last week or in those days. It's very interesting because all you need to do is solve the exercises and write the answer. Practically, I'm gonna check more answers than procedures. But of course, one of the most important thing here is show me your evidence. So in each of the homework or in each of the investigation, you will send some picture of you doing the exercises as evidence that you were working. Okay. In the online quizzes, you will not have any trouble. It's something that you can answer in your cell phone or in your computer. I will share with you a link and you will go to that link and you will see how's the quiz. The quiz is very easy. It's multiple, single choice. Sometimes is just write a number, but the situation is something that you can solve. So here you have week by week the activity or the assessment that I want that we do. Of course, each one is 10 points, like I said in the other slide. Okay. In assessment, please follow the instructions. If the instruction requires that you write your name many times, do it, please. Write your name, section, the date, etc. Please, before you send or upload your assessment, be sure that you already filled the information. Why this is so important? Okay, assessments without name will not be evaluated. Why? Okay, because you must guarantee that the work you send is yours. Okay, copyright or no copy. Practically, this is the policy that I want to apply. No copy. If you mistake sending assessments that are from other classes, you should read the comments. I will write in each assessment evaluated, but don't let the time pass. This is what happened with some of the students. Of course, I'm working with 9, 10, and 11th, and I saw that some students mistake on it and send me works from other classes, from physics, for example, or from other classes like symbolic logic in 11th. And it's not my job. I mean, my duty right now is teach you math, and it's not easy at all. But I'm gonna use those tools in order to make this easier for you and understandable too. Okay. How's gonna be the dynamic of the classes? Practically, we're gonna have 2 or 3 classes per week. You will explore a YouTube video or a guided activity or sometimes a Zoom session. I will try to make some sessions with you, and something that happened with Zoom is that it's not available to work with more than 50 students, and practically sometimes stop working if there are 30 persons in that session. So that's why I will use more this session of Zoom in order to attend questions and doubts about the topics, of course. And probably I will make one session like this each 2 weeks. I will share the link, the Zoom link in the platform. So what does it mean? It means that you need to have this application in your cell phone and in your computer, or in your computer if you're using a computer. So this is all, guys, and I'm gonna explain you right now the contents. I will study with you the second portion. Thank you. With 9th grade, sections B and C. Let's talk about the contents we were gonna study in this partial. Okay, with 9th graders, sections B and C. Let's talk about the contents we're gonna study in this partial. Continue using our book, Algebra 1 of Larson. We're gonna study chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5. Chapter 3 of function, chapter 4 of linear function, and chapter 5 related with systems of linear equations. What about functions? We already know something is the definition of function. When something is not or is or not a function. This definition helps us to understand how a relationship might fit exactly into an important conclusion or observation you can do in the coordinate plane. Okay. Something interesting we will study here is the arithmetical succession, which is one of the topics we require to understand. And we will see some of the application it has. The topic of linear function. This is the formula in general of a linear function, fx equals mx plus b. It's something that you already have an idea. So we will make the graph of linear functions, and we're gonna take the formula of that linear function given the graph and vice versa. Here's an example, y equals 3x plus 2, and the graph that it represents, the line. Something interesting we will study is about the parallel and perpendicular lines, the relationship that exists between the slopes they have. And for the last chapter, we will study the second partial, system of linear equations. We will concentrate on the type of systems of linear equations that we have, how to solve it, and specifically, how can you apply this in story problems. Okay, those will be the topics, and we're gonna start developing these now, right now. For this first class, we're going to talk about the coordinate plane. When we talk about the coordinate plane, I think you imagine a cross with numbers, a cross with points, a cross where you can graph relations in mathematics. The dynamic of the classes we're going to have is present you a topic, the objective of the topic, the development of the topic, some practice, and we're going to conclude, of course, with the conclusions of the topic. So let's start. We have three objectives for this first class. First objective is determine the elements of the coordinate plane. Second objective is graph points in the coordinate plane. And the third objective is determine if a relation is a function. This last one will be just in the coordinate plane, looking how a relation in mathematics can be determined as a function or not by a simple vertical line test. Okay, let's start with this. The elements we're going to consider in a coordinate plane are next ones. Of course, I present you the coordinate plane itself. In some books, it's called the Cartesian plane. In some other, it's called the abscissas or order pair grid. But we're going to call it more like coordinate plane or Cartesian plane. As you can see, it has two axes. And practically, this is the first element that the Cartesian plane has, or the coordinate plane has. It has an x-axis and a y-axis. The x-axis is the horizontal line you see here, and the y-axis is the vertical one. If you see, those intercept each other exactly here in the center. This center has a name too. We're gonna call it like origin, and it's practically called like this because it's where everything starts. Of course, this vertical and horizontal line doesn't have a beginning. That's why the arrows, this means this continue until the infinite. To the right, it continue until the infinite. Upstairs, continue until the infinite, same downstairs. So those lines never ends, but practically the Cartesian planes begins in here. That's why it's called like that, it's the origin. And the coordinate of this point is always 0, 0. Okay, something else we have in this Cartesian plane or coordinate plane, the real numbers. If you can see here, you have a coordinate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and of course you have to continue so on until the infinite. But when we talk about the real numbers, we're talking about inclusively the numbers that are between each ones. For example, between 0 and 1, there you have like 0.2, 0.50, 0.80, and many more, 0.99, 0.9099. But the point is you have many points in here, and those many points I'm talking about are called real numbers. Okay, of course the fractions are in here, 1/2, maybe 1/3, maybe 1/4, maybe 1/16, maybe 1/100. If you see, there are many numbers, and of course those numbers between 0 and 1 are infinite. Of course the same will happen in between 1 and 2, and so on. Not just in the horizontal one. Same happens in the vertical one, because those number lines we have in here are made by real numbers, okay? And we have to respect something. Every time we're gonna work from left to right in the x-axis, and in the y-axis we're gonna work from downstairs to upstairs. Okay, came in from negative infinite and going to the positive infinite. Something interesting, it's about the negative numbers. It's not too common work with negative numbers in math, but here at the moment to talk about functions, we need to be clear what they are. And the negative numbers we're gonna have in the x-axis are in the left of the origin. And the negative number we're gonna have in the y-axis are down there of the origin. Okay, so practically our point of reference is gonna be every time the origin. Talking about the positive ones are the opposite of the negatives. So to the right of the x-axis, you're gonna work with the positives, and upstairs to the y-axis, you're working with the positives at the same time. This is very interesting, and we have to keep in mind and respect that order. Because if you break apart this idea, you're not working with the coordinate plane. We're gonna have many coordinates combining one x coordinate with one y coordinate. This is called coordinates at y, or points, because at the end, the intersection of those will make something like this, a point, a location in that coordinate plane. And it's very important we always keep in mind that the coordinates have this form, x comma y, because it's always the x first and then is the y. Something interesting we have about the coordinate plane are the quadrants, and we have 4 quadrants. These 2 lines breaks the space where they are in 4 parts. And this first part is called the first quadrant, this one is called the second quadrant, this one is called the third quadrant, and this one is called the fourth one. For each one, we have to respect the signs they make or they have. In the first quadrant, if you plot a number, if you plot any, or if you graph a point, every time you do this, you will see that the 2 coordinates will be positive. Something different will happen in the second quadrant, because you're moving to the left and you're moving up. So if you're moving to the left, the x coordinate must be negative. What happens if you go to the left and down? You're gonna have 2 coordinates, 2 negative coordinates. And in the fourth quadrant, which is the last one, you're gonna have positive and negative. So be careful with this and keep in mind this idea of the quadrants and the signs they have. Respect this, because it's something important you have to keep in mind every time. Okay, we're gonna plot points in the coordinate plane. When I say plot, I'm saying that we're gonna make the graph of allocation in this space called the coordinate plane. Let's see how is this. So we're gonna try to graph point A, which is -2, -4. So we wanna locate first the x-axis, the -2. -2 is exactly here. And then the -4, but the -4 not in the x-axis, now in the y-axis, because every time the points have the form of x, y. So here we go, locating the -2 in the x-axis. And here is -4 in the y-axis. So where those points, where those coordinates meet each other, we have our point. And this point is called point A, or is the location of -2, -4. So we already plot this point. Something like this will happen with the point B, 1, 5. Just consider next. Here, the two coordinates were negative. That's why we are in the first, second, third quadrant, because the two coordinates are negative, like we saw in the last slide. And here, where the two are positives, I think we're gonna be here in the first quadrant, but let's see where this point is. If you see, we locate 1 for x, and then we locate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the y. So here will be our next location, and where those points meet, we have the point that we need. Okay, so this is something I think you already know, but many students mistake in something. For example, if you graph first the 5, you're gonna have like a line in here, and then the 1, then you're gonna have a point exactly in that position. And if you see 1, 5 and 5, 1 are not the same, be careful with this, because many students don't respect and forget the idea of a point, the structure that it has. For example, considering this example right now, 1, 5 and 5, 1, they are not the same. They looks like the same, but they are not the same. So respect every time that the x coordinate go first and then the y. Okay, we're gonna graph some others. What about that one? -2, 1. -2, 1. It's in the second quadrant, and all you have to do is locate the -2. -2 goes in here, and 1 in the y coordinate, in the y-axis, goes in here. So where those meet is your point. And plot points in the coordinate plane is not complicated. So it's a skill I think you already have and you already understood. Just that be careful with that and respect the x and y coordinates. Here's another example. What about 5, 0? In what of the quadrants this will be? Think about it. I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to think about it. This specific case is not in one quadrant. This specific case of 5, 0, it's an interesting point because it's not in the first, it's not in the second, it's not in the third, it's not in the fourth. Because of 0. 0 is not positive, it's not negative. So here, differently than this one, the point Z, where the x coordinate is negative and the y coordinate is positive, you can locate that in the second quadrant, very easy, because of the coordinates. But here, 0 is not telling you anything. I mean, trying to understand this, like if you are in the origin, then you move -2 units in the x-axis. So you move 1 and you move 2. And then you go up 1 unit in the y-axis. So here you are. This is one way to understand that. What happened with this one? This one is telling you from the origin, move 5 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But don't make any movement up or down. So practically you stay here. This is an important point. We're going to call it later like x-intercept. Of course, something similar can happen if we have 0, another number. 0 in the x, but a number in the y. So here is the plot of that point, and practically you stay in the x-axis. This point is on the x-axis. You don't move up or down, you practically stay there. Okay, something interesting. Because you already see how to plot points, then we will see how to plot a graph, a relation, for example. This is a mathematical relation, and this one too. Those are too similar. If you see, they are very similar, the shape they have. We're gonna conclude something, if they are functions or not. Just remember that a function relates an x coordinate with exactly one y coordinate. Consider this. Think about, in 10 seconds, which of those is a function? 10 seconds. If you think that none or both are not functions, you're wrong. This one can't be a function, because suppose the x coordinate 2. The x coordinate 2 will be related with one y coordinate and then with another y coordinate, I think with a 3 y coordinate. So it's impossible to consider this relation or this shape we have right now like a function. How can we be sure about it? Okay, making the vertical line test, which is a tool, an interesting tool that will let you conclude if a relation is a function or not, look in the graph. What about the other one? Let's see what happened with the other one. The other one is a function because if you try to make vertical lines any time in here, you will see that there's no like 2 points or more than 2 points in the same vertical line. This is important because practically here you are consider the definition of function and you must know it. Okay. Practice. To conclude this first class, in order to check your knowledge, I need that you make this true or false activity so you can stop the video and answer by yourself. Of course, we're going to check it immediately here. So what are the questions? First one, the point 9,4 is in the third quadrant, so true or false. Second one, the point -1, -4 is in the third quadrant. Letter C, the point 4,0 is on the y-axis. The points 2,5 and 5,2 are exactly the same. In any function, the x-coordinates are related with exactly one y-coordinate. So analyze this, stop the video, and conclude about it. Okay, continuing with this, I think we can check this very quickly and conclude if they are true or false. Okay, here are the answers. Of course, I'm gonna use the Cartesian plane in order to see if you're clear with this. So here you have the answers. The first one, the point 9,4 is in the third quadrant. False, because the two coordinates, the 9 and the 4 are positive, so it will be in the first quadrant. The point -4, -1 is in the third quadrant. Totally true because both coordinates are negative. The point 4,0 is on the y-axis. That's false because it's like the example you did. 4,0 will be like in here, a point on the x-axis. Will be on the y-axis if it's 0, another number. The points 2,5 and 5,2 are exactly the same. False. Respect the order, x first and then the y. And in any function, the x-coordinates are related with exactly one y-coordinate. Yes, that's true because that's practically the definition of a function. So in order to conclude this first class and first presentation, we need to say that the coordinates, you have to respect in the coordinates x and y. I mean, always you go with x first and then with y. The relations in mathematics not always makes a function. This is another important thing. As an example, you can see the graph that doesn't make a function. We saw it like 2 slides ago. The signs of the coordinates determine the quadrants, and some points are on the axis. Can be in the x-axis, can be on the y-axis, and there is one interesting that is in both, is the origin. Keep in mind this idea because maybe I will ask you something in the evaluation of this week. So guys, this is all. Thank you for your time and continue reviewing this important topic about the coordinate plane because it's gonna be useful to understand next topics. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.